Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all here in this session at TNV Academy today. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce the speaker of today's session, Mr. Srinivasan Sitaraman, who is going to talk to us about implementation of ISO 50001 standard, which is also known as Energy Management System. In this webinar today, Mr. Sitaraman will discuss this topic in detail along with some real-life examples he has experienced in the industry. Our distinguished speaker, Mr. Sitaraman, has done his post-graduation in chemistry from Annamalai University, India. He has an industrial experience of around 30 plus years in field of manufacturing of non-ferrous alloys, lamp components, primary and secondary batteries, and has worked in countries such as India, South Africa, and Oman. He has been imparting training to a number of organizations, entrepreneurs, and executives on various topics related to ISO standards and their certification and implementation. It was just a brief introduction of our guest speaker today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Srinivasan Sitaraman. I may request Mr. Sitaraman now to please start the session on implementation of ISO 50001 Energy Management System.
Thank you very much to TNV Academy for giving me an opportunity to host this webinar. And once again, a good evening to all of you present here in this webinar. As the moderator put it, the topic for today's webinar is steps to implementation of ISO 50001-2018. So this is for energy management systems and requirements around that. So that's what we'll be discussing today. And this will last for around 45 minutes or so. And then any queries, any questions you have, you can put it in the chat box at the end of the session. Take those questions and we'll answer them. Okay. Hope that's okay with all of you. Okay. So in this webinar, we'll be discussing on these three topics. One is first introduction to ISO 50001-2018, why we needed this standard in the first place, and then how do we implement this in the organization? What are all the steps involved that we'll see. At the end of the session, I'll take the questions and I'll answer them. Okay. So first is introduction to ISO 50001. So we need to understand for any standard before implementation, we need to have the motivation, whether what is the purpose of the standard, what it is going to give it to my organization. So that's why the need for ENMS, if the need is felt, the effective implementation will be there. If it is forced on organizations, it is not going to be effective. So people should have a buy-in. What is in it for me? So that's why it is important to understand that. So we know the energy scenario globally, what is happening, and also in the local scenario within our country, what's happening. We'll just have a look at it. Just a brief only I'm giving, because it's a 1 hour webinar. We will not be able to cover everything, but just want to give you some pointers here. Energy is a major contributor to climate change. Whatever we are seeing now, irregular patterns, unseasonal rains, and changing weather patterns, these are all attributed to the energy being the major contributor of this climate change, because we are using a lot of energy. Because of that, the global warming is increasing, and then this kind of unseasonal things are happening. So that is we need to understand. So then the focus should be how to minimize our energy usage. It's not that we are going to stop everything and then sit in the dark. How to use it more efficiently and more wisely. That's the thing. 60% of the greenhouse gases, these are all basically carbon dioxide, SO2, and other gases. Because of industrialization, this is causing pollution, and they basically increasing the global warming in the environment. So that is why these are called greenhouse gas emissions. 60% is coming from energy use, and there are other ways of contribution to it, like methane from cattle growth and other things are there, but major is, you can see, 60% from greenhouse gases. Okay. Then more than 1 billion people still lack access to basic electricity, and they are using harmful energy sources, like the wood based, which is going to give a lot of smoke and causing breathing problems and also lung diseases for the people in below poverty lines. They are still using those kind of inefficient fuel sources, and because of that, they are not achieving their objective, and also they are falling ill because of the complications with this kind of pollutions. There is more than 1 billion people, they are lacking basic electric facilities. And then over 3.2 trillion US dollars in public health spent on public health due to carbon growth. That's all the carbon emissions we are talking about, because of which the health impact also for the humanity, because of that we are using a lot of medical treatment. That expense itself is 3.2. What they are saying is, if you are trying to use energy efficiently, we can cut down on the greenhouse gases, and also we can improve the well-being of the people, and then we can save money in that aspect. So this is a global scenario. Coming to Indian scenario, what is happening here? Fifth largest consumer of energy, because our population is huge. So second most populous country in the world, and also we have got a lot of needs to satisfy, so that we are fifth largest consumer of energy, are accounting to 3.4% of the energy production in the world. Rich in coal, we have got a lot of coal. Almost 70% of our power is coming from coal-fired power stations. And renewable energy, this is basically a kind of three sides. We have got ocean, there is a lot of wind energy we can harvest, and that's where renewable energy is coming into place. So we have got rich source. We are still tapping those things, but still there is a lot of scope for improvement. That is there. Very small hydrocarbon reserve, means we have got very low fossil fuels, which is basically oil. Natural gas commission is basically owning most of these fields, and but still it is very, very less compared to the demand in the country. We are almost 85% of our oil we are importing from overseas. So that is also a problem for us. Okay. And then quarter of primary energy needs met by imports. That means 25% of our energy needs are met by imports. Energy means here don't only look at electricity. There are various forms of energy. Oil is also one of the source of energy which we are importing. Like that, there are other things we are saving. So quarter means 25% of the energy is met by import, getting from outside. And energy intensity is one of the highest. That means we are very high energy intensive industry. Because of that, we are having very less energy efficiency, and that's where the energy management system is very important for us to implement, so that we can have a better energy efficiency, reduced energy use, and reduced energy consumption, so that we can cut down our carbon footprint as well as greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so this is a synopsis from where we are looking at why we need to have an energy management system. And ENMS, mainly energy management system, focuses on improving energy efficiency as well as reducing carbon emissions, basically greenhouse gas emissions. It has got a twin advantage. One is you are improving energy efficiency, there is a cost advantage, as well as we are cutting down on the greenhouse gases, which are going to increase the global warming. Okay, so with this frame of mind, we are now approaching the ISO 50001, which is the standard which is for energy management system. So here, this standard is an international standard for energy management system, and it has got requirements which organization has to fulfill. It is developed by a technical committee, TC 301. Like that, every standard there is a technical committee designated. Like TC 176 is for ISO 9000, which you are familiar with. Same way, energy management system ISO 50001, the draft and all the other associated things are developed by technical committee 301. So there are a lot of experts from energy field, and they are contributing to this, and the standard is very valuable from that point of view. ISO 50001 provides framework for improving the energy performance of organizations. When I say energy performance, there are three things we need to consider. One is energy use, what type of energy we are using, which is going to be environmental friendly. Then energy efficiency, how to use the energy efficiently so that we use less energy and make more output. And energy consumption, energy use, energy efficiency, and energy consumption. All these three put together is termed as energy performance. So we have to improve the energy performance of our organizations. This is a systematic approach because it's a management system. So it gives a framework, the processes. So it's a systematic approach to improve organizations' energy performance sustainably. Very important to note that. Sustainably means we grow not at the cost of spoiling the environment. We are also growing sustainably so that our environment is not damaged because of our growth. So that is called sustainable development. Okay. This enables to establish, implement a standardized process-based energy management structure. That's what we call it, high-level structure. We will just see about it little now. Okay. This standard is applicable to any organization. It's not only for energy intensive industry. Anybody wants to improve, even at your home, you are looking at energy efficiency. You are looking for 5-star appliances when you go for purchasing air conditioning and other things. Also, when it is not in use, you switch off. So we are also thinking of energy saving, not only for saving the environment, but also saving cost. So like that, any organization, irrespective of the size and nature of operations, they can go for this particular standard. Geographical location, organizational culture, or products and services. It is any organization can go for this standard. Okay. Introduced in the year 2011. There were a lot of deliberations, but finally first version of this standard was introduced for use in 2011, and then the first revision was done in 2018 to align with the other management systems. So the major changes in the 2018 version were the high level structure. Like all other management systems from 2013 onwards, they have started following the high level structure, so all standards look similar. So that was one of the biggest thing. And then they are also looking at risk-based thinking and other things was introduced. So that's why 2018 it was revised. So first revision of the standard was done in 2018. Now we see this high level structure I told you about. That's similar to all other standards you would have seen in previous webinars. So this is the kind of structure which we are looking at for all the management system standards. Okay. So now you see there are 10 classes, out of which first 3 classes are not requirement. That's like a reference only. You just need to understand the terms and definitions used in this particular standard, and then you apply them in your organization. But it is not a requirement. So basically the requirements come from class 4 to class 10, which organization has to show evidences of implementation, and that is why they are called requirements, and auditors will be verifying that these requirements have been met before certification. So that is why these are important to understand. So now we see the Plan, Do, Check Act. That is also a process approach which was adopted by ISO in 2000, year 2000. But then afterwards it has been consistently as an integral part of the standards. So here also you will see that from class 4 to class 10, we have got requirements, and they have been arranged in a Plan, Do, Check, Act manner. That means process approach. You don't have class 1, 2, 3 here because they are not requirements. So now you see the context of the organization, leadership. You need leadership, strong leadership for all the management system standards, and you need to before implementing the standard. So like that you see very similar structure coming across all the management system standards. So that is the beauty of this. So integration becomes very easy if you are already certified with 9001, 14001. So this can be an added advantage by introducing the 50001 standard also in your organization, so the integration becomes easier. So this is a very big giant leap, I would say, in the standards development by ISO, having a high level structure and process based approach. So now coming to this 50001, specifically what are we talking about in PDCA, that is Plan, Do, Check, Act. So let us look at one by one what all things we do in planning. I'll just show you now. In planning, first of all, we need to analyze. First of all, before improvement, we need to know what we are consuming. So that's why we analyze our energy usage. What all forms we are using, primary forms, secondary forms. Like steam is a secondary form of energy because we are using electricity to heat water and make steam, and that steam is used for some operations. So that is secondary. Whereas electricity is primary. Oil we are using for some heaters and other things, that's a primary. So like the primary, secondary uses of energy, we are analyzing. Then identify and prioritize opportunities. Now once we analyze, we come to know these are the biggest ones. Like at home also, in schools they give projects where you go to home and analyze your energy usage, a geyser, AC and other heaters. You just find out how much of kilowatt hour each are consuming based on the rating, and then you find out which is the biggest consumer of electricity, and then you try to improve that by switching off when it is not required, and optimal usage of these things will improve your energy bill. So that's what we are doing in the organization also. Identify and prioritize means which one I need to attack first so that I get better savings and I also do better energy performance. Then select ENPIs. ENPIs are nothing but an indicator for energy performance. ENPI means energy performance indicator. It is like a percentage for marks. You have got a 2-3 type of exams, quarterly, half-yearly, annual exam. They are for different marks, 30 marks, 50 marks and 100. But when you want to compare the performance on all the exams, you need to make everything as a percentage to the 100 so that you can see how you perform. Instead of telling I got 20 marks and 40 marks, you will not know whether it is for 100 marks or 30 marks you got that. So that is why ENPA is something like a comparison where you can do apple to apple comparison by keeping all the indicators same across the industry. So that is why it is important to select those ENPAs. Then determine baseline. Before improvement, you need to know where you are and where you want to go. So we need to decide both of them. So where you are is determined by the baseline. Where you want to go is the target. So that's what we are setting, targets and action plans. We call it in energy management system, it is energy action plans. So these are all done in the planning stage. Once your plan is ready, you are going to execute the plan. So what are you doing? Execute. You have to communicate the plan. Like a top management is developing these plans. Now we have to tell all the employees this is what is our baseline and where we want to go is the target. This is to be communicated to all the people involved. And then for them to implement this, they need to know what is ENMS and what are all things they need to monitor and measure. So we have to train the employees. So training is given to employees who are involved in this kind of activities. Then execute the plans. After training, they are competent to execute the plans. Then operational controls. Certain energies we identified as a significant energy use, we need to control them so that we don't waste energy. So that's where operational control procedures and systems are in place that has to be established. These are all doing part: training, execution, and operational control. Now in checking, we have to monitor. As per plan, we have to reach the target, so we have to plan. So are we doing as per plan? We have to monitor and verify using some measurement instruments. Like if you want to measure electricity, you need to have energy meters. If you want to measure flow of steam, we need to have pressure calibrated things. So all that is there. So when you have measuring instrument, automatically calibration has to come so that our validity of the measurement is ascertained. Then evaluate compliance. When I say evaluate compliance, what are all the legal requirements organization is facing because of the energy management system and also related to energy? There are a lot of what do you call statutory bodies who are having regulations implemented. We have to follow them. So that is what is called evaluating compliance. Are we following the legal requirements? Then we have to conduct internal audit. Like any other management system, for 50,001 also there will be internal audit, going around auditing all the departments and looking at their energy performance, what they are planning to achieve and what they have achieved. We have to see the difference and what is the reasons for it. Okay. Then if we find any problem, we need to take corrective action. So that is understand the root cause, analyze them, and take corrective actions. These are important in the checking phase. Okay. Then comes action, where we are conducting a review. As a top management, we have to sit and take note of everything and seeing what is going on in the organization as per plan. And if there is a course correction needed, management is giving the direction. And then they ensure that the resources are provided to meet the targets. You can't just set a target and do not provide the resources. That's where top management is coming in. They have to adequately provide the resources so that the targets can be achieved comfortably. So now you see there are different color codings here. Some of them are done by employees, some of them are done by energy manager. It's a mandatory appointment. He can also work as a MR, but MR is not required in the standard. But energy manager is a mandatory appointment. He should be having some kind of qualification to be called as energy. And then top management is always there because that is one of the requirements. Top management is signing the energy policy and they have to allocate the resources and promote this kind of risk-based thinking. That's why top management is involved in the action and also in all other areas as well. But the management review, which is where action comes, it is conducted by top management and then they ensure that the resources are given. Okay, energy manager is very important because he is knowledgeable, he is competent to train employees, and he is also looking at the legal requirements and also allocating people for the audit and then necessary corrective actions he is doing. So this is how the PDCA works in a organization in a ENMS system. Okay, this is an annual cycle. It's not like once done and then forgotten. Every time we have to do it. Every year we have to look at what is our past performance and where we want to go. We have to set our benchmark and then go ahead. So when we do that, naturally we will have improvement happening. That is what we call continual improvement in energy performance. Excuse me. The standard is acting as a wedge so that we don't fall back on our progress we have made, so that we can go on improving. Every cycle we look at the new targets and see what we need to do, improve our energy performance. So this is called continual improvement. So now we have looked at the need for the energy management system and what all things are involved in a basic way. We have looked at 50,001. Now your organization is to go for implementation of the standard. So what all things are involved in this? We will just see it. First of all, preparation for the organization to meet this challenge. So what all things we need to do in this case? First, we have to see our approach to implementation. Are we going to do it ourselves? Are we going to engage consultants, or everybody has to go for mass training to an organization who is conducting this training and then they can do it? So that kind of approach, it depends on the timeline. If organization has got a luxury of time, they can learn everything by doing themselves and then implement it. Will take a long time, but then it will be also good. But then normally organizations are not having that luxury of time, so they engage consultants who are experts in this field. They come and look at the current scenario, and then they conduct a gap analysis, and then they do it. So that's the approach management has to decide and allocate the resources accordingly. Define the scope. That means our organization, we have to see the boundary, which one we need to bring it under energy management system. We cannot say HR and department and admin department will go for ENMS, because there is no energy to be saved. It is very, very minuscule. So you will be looking at the major energy consumers, the operations department, the production department, and kind of utilities department, where this kind of energy saving is possible. So we have to include those areas, those processes in the scope. So the scope was to clearly define what all areas will be included, and we should not leave out any high energy consuming departments from the scope. That means we are cheating ourselves. So we have to clearly define, because our focus is to improve and benefit from the system. So that's why we have to be honest in admitting what all things are high energy consumers, and we bring everything into the scope of the management system. Then formation of energy management system, the energy management team. The team has to be led by the energy manager, which is a mandatory appointment as per regulation. If you are a designated consumer, that means you are consuming above certain limit of energy, then your organization has to appoint an energy manager who is qualified by BE or by his qualification. He can lead the team of people who are called energy management team. So this is very specific to the standard. No other standard is mandating a kind of team to be formed. But here, energy management team, it's a requirement of the standard that team has to be formed. You can call it in any way, but the team has to be there in the organization. Then roles and responsibilities of the team clearly defined, who will do what and what all their responsibilities will be clearly, so that there is no ambiguity while implementing the system. The main thing is top management support. Top management has to make a policy, energy policy, sign it, and then adequate resources has to be provided, including appointing the energy manager and formation of the team. So right through the organization, the implementation, top management support is very, very vital. So that preparation, we need to get the assurance of that. Then energy review. That's where I said you can engage consultants, or you can use the people like energy manager who is knowledgeable and his team. They can conduct the energy review. That means we are looking at what is the current level of energy consumption we are doing, because that is going to set the benchmark where we want to go. So that is why it is important to conduct the energy review. We will talk about it a little later. And then finalize the project plan timeline, how long we are going to take and what are all the other steps involved. It is a kind of project you take. First time when you go for certification, this is very important. The timeline has to be, so that we can track our progress against the plan, because ISO is all about plan, do, check, act. That's why. Okay. Now we look at this energy review. What do we do in energy review? First of all, we look at the energy sources, got all things we are having. Primary energy source, secondary energy source, all this will be involved. Okay. Evaluate past performance, energy use and consumption. These are the data we have to collect from all the departments. You have got electricity meters and you got flow meters, which will tell you how much of energy of this consumed, how much of steam is passing through. All that can be calculated, and then we look at the current consumption for the last 1 year. Normally energy review, you see the past 12 months energy, that will be okay. Then when you see that, you make a kind of analysis there, where we look at a pie chart kind of thing, where you can see the significant energy uses coming out clearly, where we look at what is the thing, which department or which process is contributing significantly to the energy use. So that is what we call significant energy use. So there we'll see opportunities. Like for example, you go to pluck a fruit from a tree. You do not climb the tree and look for a top hanging fruit. You go for a low hanging fruit. Same way in energy use, energy performance improvement also, you identify the significant energy use departments where a small improvement can give a significant savings for the organization and significant energy performance improvement. That is why we focus on significant energy use departments. And then we set our objectives and targets. That is what is called energy objectives and energy targets. So where we have to consider these kind of things, renewable, alternative and potential energy sources. So these are the things, and prioritize. All these have to be recorded. So energy review is a complete document which is shown as evidence for your implementation to understand where we are and where we are going. Okay. Now, documentation. As I said, energy review is important document. So let us talk about documentation. Here again, it's a documented information management system is requiring, which includes both documents and records. If I say energy review, how to conduct energy review, the procedure can be a document, and your energy review, result of the energy review can be the record, where you're showing the pie chart, you're showing which are the departments which are SEU department. SEU means significant energy use departments, and what are all the objectives and targets we are setting for ourselves. These are all records. Both are important. Okay. Important documents, scope statement. Like any other management system standard, clause 4.3 of the management system standards talks about scope of the management system. That means the boundary, what are all departments and what are all areas we are going to include under the system, and then the nature and products and services of the organization is given in the scope. So that is a maintained document information we have to show evidence of. Then a policy signed by the top management showing their commitment to continual improvement and improving the energy performance, and giving the competence to employees is also shown in the energy policy. Then energy review document, as I said, procedure is a document, the energy review results are records. Then energy objectives and energy action plans. So here, to achieve the objectives, we may come up with some actions. So that energy action plan, we have to show evidence of what is the action we are going to take and where we are going to go, and track it on a regular basis. And then procedures to control the energy wastage and energy performance improvement, work instructions, operational control. These are all aimed at the employees who are going to follow them, so that systematically the energy performance can be achieved. Okay. Then forms, where you have to record certain things. We have formats which are documents. Once you write in them, it becomes a record. So these are the things we have to have in the documentation. Okay, very critical. Then looking at the implementation, very important step in the ISO 50001 is the implementation. So where we are going to actually put the systems in place and then execute them. So what all things we will do here? First of all, training to employees. Only the energy management team is involved so far, so they are having training, but now they have to transfer the knowledge to all the other employees, because they have done the energy review. They have identified the departments where the energy consumption has to be brought down and energy efficiency to be improved. So they will go to those departments and train those employees so that they are aware of their role in doing this activity. Okay. Then energy baseline. Once you have done the energy review, the baseline can be established, because this is what is the current energy consumption, and the targets can come from the management or also from the regulatory bodies, because nowadays there is a regulatory mechanism by which we are also getting targets to each organization. So the energy baseline and the targets can come from there. Okay. Now communication of the SEUs. That means we have to communicate the significant energy use department. When I say SEU, is nothing but significant energy use. Those departments have to be communicated about their energy use and bring about the reduction in the energy consumption. Introduce the procedures to the employees working in those departments. Work instructions, both are basically procedure talks about a macro level. Work instructions are micro level. Each and everything, like the season wise, what should be done. In a rainy season, certain things need not be operated because the weather is going to be conducive for the energy efficiency. Temperature will be low. So like that, work instructions will be very specific to those areas, whereas procedures will generally talk about how to do energy review, how to monitor these things, like that in the macro level. Work instruction is micro level. And operation control. That means we have to set up systems in place, everybody follows and then records the monitoring, measuring information. That is all coming under operation control, specifically aimed at SEU departments. Okay. Then we start monitoring and measurement. Monitoring is basically visually we can do it. There is no equipment or measuring instrument required, because like some certain things are on, which is going to cost a lot of energy. So use a switch off. That is like switching it on, switching it off. That is monitoring. But measurement means we have to find out how much energy is consumed, how much of pressure of this steam has flown through. So all that we need measuring instruments. So when I have measuring instruments, automatically calibration also to be considered for them, because to ensure validity of the measurements. So calibration is like ISO 9001, same kind of records. We can extend it to the energy measuring instruments as well. Okay, all records have to be maintained. Then energy returns, like we file income tax returns. These organizations who have been who have been designated conversion. That means Bureau of Energy Efficiency is a statutory body like Pollution Control Board. This body is giving certain organization based on their energy consumption status called designated consumer. That means they have been identified as significant consumers of energy. So they are expected to have an energy manager appointed and file the energy returns, how much energy they have consumed and what is the targets, everything have to be clearly communicated to the government body on an annual basis. Like we do income tax returns, same way energy returns also to be filed by those organizations. Again, further, when we talk about this, we also need to understand what are the basic definitions of these terms we are using. One is energy. Energy is nothing but capacity to do work. Refers to various types of energy I already mentioned. Renewable energy also is considered, that is more environmental friendly because we are not using fossil fuels and there is no carbon footprint in having renewable energy sources. So that's why they are promoted, and which can be purchased, stored, treated, used in an equipment or process or recovered. All these things. Energy efficiency is basically looking at how effectively we are operating so that we are consuming less energy and making more output. So it is ratio or other quantitative relationship between output of performance and input of energy. How much energy I put in the process and how much output we are getting. So that is very important. Of all the energy performance indicators, energy use, energy consumption, and energy efficiency, I would consider energy efficiency to be the topmost priority because where we are looking at less energy consumption and more output. That is what is important for the organizations in terms of cost saving and reducing the carbon footprint. Energy review, we already talked about it. How do we analyze the energy use, energy efficiency, and energy consumption? These are the three things which are coming to energy performance improvement based on data and other information leading to identification of SEUs. When I do energy review, the purpose of it is to identify the significant energy use departments and focus on those opportunities to improve the performance. Then significant energy use is coming out of the energy review. These are the areas which we need to focus on, and that's what is coming out of the output of the energy review. Then energy performance indicator is a measure of unit of energy performance as defined by the organization. Every organization can take a ENPI, but it is always recommended to see similar indicator used in all the organizations having same type of operations. Like if it is a refinery, they also have to have the same kind of indicator. So we can compare two different refineries operating, one in North India and one South India, so they can see whether they are doing energy efficiency or not. So for that, apple to apple comparison is possible only if you have same indicator for the across the industry sector. Useful for comparing similar industries through benchmarking. That is very important. Now some of the indicators I just want to show you what we call in automotive industry, where we are making a lot of four-wheelers, two-wheelers. The energy performance is considered as gigacalories. Gigacalorie means 10 power 9. Megacalorie means 10 power 6. Gigacalories per unit of production. Every car produce how much of gigacalories we are consuming in various processes in the automobile company. That is one. Every automobile company can have the same indicator, so we can compare who is doing better, and they can be set as a benchmark for others to follow. Then hotels, kilowatt hour, that we are all aware of. Like in homes, we have a kilowatt hour. 1 kilowatt hour is 1 unit, so we pay monthly bills based on the kilowatt hour consumption. Same way hotels also, how many people are occupying and what is the kilowatt hour consumption. So in that way your occupancy is good and kilowatt hour can be reduced. If you don't have occupancy, so naturally we must cut down our usage so that our energy performance improves with respect to the occupancy. Also square feet, like unnecessary, some areas are giving air condition, so that to identify we can also have kilowatt hour per square feet. So how much of area we have got and what is the usage of electricity to condition these areas, all those things will come out. So different indicators, but we can see this being used in the industry in a common way. Okay. Then transport sector, kilometers, how much kilometer traveled per liter of fuel. So fuel efficiency, we all when we go for buying vehicles, we are looking for fuel efficiency. We don't want to compromise on that, because in a long term we will save a lot of this on that. Initially the cost may be less, but then we will end up paying a lot of fuel, so we need to understand that. Also, the goods carriers, people who are buying trucks and all, they will look at how much metric ton of goods I have basically transported, how much of fuel I have consumed. So these are all energy efficient ways of looking at it. Nowadays, I am told the automobile companies are going to the rail transportation of their vehicles, because it is more energy efficient compared to sending them by trucks, which is causing a lot of money, and also it's risky also. Whereas by train, they are smooth and it is very cost effective. Kilometer per liter per ton of material moved. These are all various ways the goods carriers, transport vehicles, passenger transport, all these will be looking at their energy efficiency. Then cement industry, gigacalories per metric ton of cement produced. Then refineries, they have a standard refinery fuel ton. SRFT means standard refinery fuel ton. All the refineries are using this indicator so that we can compare the refinery performance, whether it is Reliance or HPCL or BPCL, they will have this indicator, so we can compare who is doing the best, and bench will be given for all other refineries. Another indicator is MBN, which is million British thermal units per 1,000 barrels of oil per energy factor. These are all very technical, but basically this is what is used in the industry for awareness purpose, you can know. And fertilizers again, gigacalories per metric ton of fertilizer produced. So gigacalorie is more or less for the industry, refinery it is SRFT, and then transport it is kilometers per liters of fuel. These are the things you have to understand. Now, when you implement this, we also need to understand the design and procurement. One is your operation control in the organization, how to be energy efficient in our processes. But also while designing new equipment, new processes, the design department should consider energy performance. When you want to set up a pump, we have to look for energy star rated pumps, or even air conditioning for a particular unit. We need a conditioned temperature. We have to go for energy star rated energy air conditioners. So that is very important. That's why design and procurement. You design which is energy efficient, but then you have to inform the procurement, the purchase department, that this has to be communicated to the supplier in the form of purchase order or tender conditions. You have to clearly specify that we are looking for energy efficient equipment and performance. Okay, applicable to new, modified, renovated facilities, equipment, systems. Suppose you are throwing old one, you are going for a new one, you need to be focusing on energy efficiency, because you are going to certify for energy management system. So auditors will be looking for what are all the equipment you purchased in the last 1 year. Have you considered energy efficiency? If not, there is going to be a non-conformance. That's why it is very important to upfront mention this. Planned expected operating lifetime. When you look at energy performance, do not look for narrow gains. Initially, the lower energy star rating equipment will be cheap, but then energy consumption on a lifetime, equipment when you buy maybe 10 years design life, if you look at the energy consumed, which will be much higher than if you had used the energy efficient equipment in the first place. So there will be initial cost saving, but in the long run you will lose by having a poor energy efficient equipment. That's why we have to consider the entire design life while buying these equipments, not just for the initial cost. Okay, adopt energy efficiency measures for the equipment, and then the results of energy performance consideration to be incorporated into specification, design, and procurement. That's what design department has to communicate to the purchase department. What all things they have to mention in the purchase order regarding design. Okay, this is what we looked at it now. Also, the renewables, alternative energy sources. Why we are focusing on alternative energy sources is to reduce our carbon footprint, that is greenhouse emissions. If I go for instead of going for a diesel generator, I go for solar panel or maybe a wind turbine, which will give the same amount of energy, but there will be no carbon footprint. That's why we can also look at when you procure energy efficiency as well as renewable energy instead of fossil fuel dependency. Okay, then to inform suppliers about the evaluation energy performance as part of procurement of services, product, and equipment. Even a contractor is coming into your organization, he is bringing some welding equipment and other things to work here. You need to ensure they are bringing energy efficient equipment only, because he is going to plug into your energy and he will suck those energy which is not energy efficient. That's why Not only equipment, even service providers coming into your organization, they also need to bring only energy efficient equipments for their operations. Okay, this is very important in the implementation phase. Okay, also will implement, you need to look at the legal and other requirements, because that is also one of the requirements you need to fulfill. So first and foremost legal requirement under this energy management system is Energy Conservation Act 2001, and then the energy conservation rules and amendments also subsequently happened. We need to be aware of it. It is to provide a legal framework and institutional arrangement for enhancing energy efficiency, because that's the focus. Now, like pollution control boards are appointed under Environmental Conservation Act, same way Bureau of Energy Efficiency is appointed as the statutory body to regulatory body to implement the provisions of this act, Energy Conservation Act. So this is very important one. What is their mission? The mission of BE is to develop policies and strategies based on self-regulation and market principle with the goal of reducing energy intensity of the Indian economy. In the first slide, the need for ENMS, we found that India is an energy intensive economy. So that's why our goal is to reduce that energy intensity by developing policies and strategies. Two ways it is working. One is self-regulation. Our own selves, we are implementing 50,001. We are also looking at energy efficiency. Also from the market based, like entire industry is surveyed, and whoever is doing best, and that is set as the benchmark for the remaining industries. That is what is called market principle. That means you are forced by the market to achieve energy efficiency, so you don't waste energy, also you save in the process. So that is what is the aim of BE, the mission. It has got powers to notify designated consumers from energy intensive sectors. Like there are certain sectors which are prone to consume a lot of energy, they've identified and they've made it as designated consumer, like refineries, also coal fired power stations, and fertilizer industries, aluminium smelters. So like that, various industries where the energy consumption is very high, the BE will notify the designated consumer, so they have to follow the regulations of this Energy Conservation Act. Okay, prescribe specific energy consumption target based on the best in the industry. The BE will set the benchmark so that all organizations have to work towards achieving those benchmarks. Then monitor and verify by accredited energy auditors. So whatever you are claiming that you have saved energy, it will be independently verified by the auditors who are qualified by BE or who are approved by BE. They will come and verify all your data and then verify that this audit is the data being presented by the organization is okay. This is not an internal audit. This is auditors appointed by BE who will come and do this audit. So they monitor and verify the results given by this, the records, our records. Then demand mandatory reporting by DCs. That's what I call energy returns. We have to report them every year. We have to give those data. And compliance by purchasing energy saving certificates. Suppose you are not able to achieve those targets, you have to buy energy saving certificate from other organizations who have achieved it, and then you maintain the compliance. It is like paying penalty. If you are not done, you have to pay money, either pay money as a penalty, or you buy these energy saving certificates and show your achievement. Okay, penalty for non-compliance linked to level of non-compliance, because it's a regulatory mechanism. You cannot violate it, because also ISO 50001 says we have to fulfill our legal requirements. If you are not fulfilling, that becomes a non-conformance. That's why we need to be aware of it. We have to fulfill the requirements. Okay, now why this BE is involved in this process is because National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency, NMEEE, under the National Action Plan on Climate Change. This was done by the Prime Minister of India. Climate change was taken as a big sustainable development, and we wanted a national level action plan. There were a lot of missions launched. One of the mission is National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency. Under this only, they talk about the PAT scheme, that is Perform, Achieve and Trade. That is a market-based mechanism to enhance the cost effectiveness of improvements in energy efficiency in energy intensive large industries and facilities through certification of energy savings that could be traded. That is what I call energy saving certificate. The scheme name is called Perform, Achieve and Trade, or in short called PAT scheme. PAT means Perform, Achieve and Trade. there is a benchmark given to the industry based on the best available in the country. Then all industries are working towards achieving that particular target. If you achieve it, you are getting a energy saving certificate for extra whatever you achieve, that you can trade to other industries who are not able to achieve the energy savings. So it is like a benefit for the industry in double two ways. One is you are saving energy, also you are avoiding penalties, and you can trade the energy efficiency whatever you have done to other industries who are not able to achieve it by getting money. Perform, achieve and trade PAT scheme, a regulatory instrument to reduce specific energy consumption. SEC means specific energy consumption in energy intensive industries where energy consumption is very high, with an associated market based mechanism. That's where the benchmarking is coming, to enhance the cost effectiveness through certification of excess energy saving which can be traded. That is the energy saving certificate. When I say this PAT scheme, there are various industries. Every cycle they have a 3-year cycle. So far there are 6 cycles which have been launched. So the first cycle when they launched, they took only important industries like aluminium, chlor-alkali, textiles, pulp and paper, iron and steel, cement and thermal power plants. All these are having very high consumption. So they took the first initiative to reduce energy consumption or energy efficiency improvement in these sectors. And then in the second cycle, you can see the refinery was not in the first cycle. They've added in the second cycle. So like that, they are going on adding more and more industries in every cycle, so that they are looking at improving the energy efficiency of all the industries. So that is the focus, but it goes in a phased manner. So far 5 cycles are completed. We are in the 6th cycle of this PAT scheme, perform, achieve and trade. So you see every cycle their savings are also reported by BEE in this form. For the first cycle, they saved almost 8.67 million ton oil equivalent, or equivalent to 5,635 megawatt. It's a lot of savings, 1.25% of India's primary energy supply. So by putting this regulatory mechanism in place, they are able to achieve this. And the cost of savings is almost 9,500 crores. So like that, for every cycle, they come up with the savings, how much you have achieved, and what is the environmental benefit. 31 million tons of carbon dioxide is saved from the environment. That is also reducing the global warming. So this is overall, Make in India initiative, you can call it, or improving the energy performance of organizations. So like that, every cycle, there is a benefit which is accruing. Now, this penalty mechanism I was telling about, if you are not able to achieve, you will get penalty. So there are 4 scenarios given here. So one is the best scenario, and the fourth one is the worst scenario. If you look at here, the base SEC means specific energy consumption, what they are currently having baseline is given, and based on the industry benchmark, they are given a target. So if you are really overachieving the target, you will get the energy saving certificate for the equivalent amount which you need to achieve as a target. So this is a benefit. That's why the industry is shown as a green industry, first industry. Second industry, they are not able to achieve because of their inefficiencies. But what they did, they purchased energy saving certificate from the other company which has achieved, and then they tried to meet the target. So this is also kind of complied, but they spent money on compliance. So that is why it is shown as a red on the top. So it's not a very ideal situation. And the third industry is basically whatever target was given, they achieved it. So then no loss, no gain. They are also a green industry because they followed the regulation and there is no violation, so they achieved the target. But the fourth industry, you can see where penalty was improved because they have not had this non-compliance, so there was no energy saving certificate purchase, because of which BE has given a penalty. So that's why you see a cross on the fourth industry, which is also kind of polluting industry, or you can call it, not a good situation, because you are going for the certification. We do not want any legal non-compliance. So our ideal situation would be the first industry where we are overachieving and getting energy saving certificates, which can be traded in the energy exchange. There is a stock exchange like that. Energy exchange is there where we can trade these certificates. Okay. So this is a kind of scenario for specific energy consumption, which is followed in the entire industry. Okay. Now, that is the implementation phase. It's quite hectic, but we need to implement very well. Then only we can go for certification. So now before going for certification, we need to audit our systems. So this is called internal audit, where we already have trained auditors maybe from 9001 and 14001. We can give this extra knowledge on the ISO 50001, and then we can make them competent to audit ISO 50001 system also. Okay, training them. Then set up audit program, which is documented and recorded information. Total information has to be maintained. Audit schedule, when you want to conduct the audit, and what all the areas will be covered, all will be covered in this audit schedule. Then ensure impartiality. Again, internal audit, the fundamental principle is independent audit, so that you should not audit your own department. That's what ensuring impartiality means. Then document and information audit, your audit schedule, audit notes, audit reports, non-conformance report, everything has to be maintained and retained. So that is documented information, which involves both document and record. Checklist. When you go for audit, you also prepare a checklist. So you are systematically auditing the department and noting all the observations, so that your audit is efficient in terms of time, and also you will not forget anything because you got a checklist prepared already. Okay, audit with a view towards improvement. Again, we should not go for fault finding mode. We should be looking at fact finding, and with the improvement in mind, we have to do this audit, so that auditee also feels he got value addition from the auditor and gained from the knowledge. Very important. Fact finding and not fault finding. Okay, that is internal audit. Now we go for certification. Whatever internal audit findings are there, we close them with the proper corrective action, and then we call the certification body. We have to identify which certification body we need to go for. If you already got certified systems, it is always recommended to go with the same certification body, so that the integrated audit is possible, where all management systems can be audited by the same body. Otherwise, having different certification bodies is again defeating the whole purpose of integration. So that is why select the body which is already existing for your organization. Okay. Now prepare the employees for the audit. After the internal audit, whatever gaps we find, we need to educate our employees so that they are ready for facing the external audit. So that is called certification audit. Then top management availability support has to be ensured in the audit, and even before preparation for the audit, all the information, one management review at least has to be conducted, so that we can evidence that management has taken note of all the internal audit findings. They have taken note of the objectives, targets, the progress on them. That is what management review is all about. So that is what we need to ensure from the top management. So now we are going to stage one. Stage one is more of a desk or documentation audit, where you send all our manuals, including the energy management system information, to the auditors. So they will be looking at the requirements from the standard and whether it is addressed in the document. So that is what they'll do. That is conformance to the ISO 50001 requirements on paper, because they are not visiting your factory. They are sitting somewhere remotely and only looking at your document, the intention of the organization. So that's why it is only on paper it is verified. Now they will come to the site and verify on physically whether you are doing it or not. So that's where certification audit, the stage two, your on-site audit, where we look at conformance to ISO 50001 in practice. Earlier we looked at in paper. Now we are looking at in practice, whether we are following and recording all the information as per requirements. If they find any non-conformity, they may give a non-conformance report, which we need to close out by doing the proper root cause analysis and corrective action, and then we will be recommended for certification. So these are all the processes involved in the certification of the ISO 50001. Now we need to understand the benefits of certification also. Going for 50001, what an organization is gaining. One is the ISO logo, which is a global recognition that you are ISO 50001 certified organization looking at energy performance improvement. So when you participate in a tender, this is going to have an added advantage because you've got a global recognition. And also your own benefit, the improved energy performance, the energy use, the energy consumption, and the money we saved in the energy performance, that is also there. Optimizing energy cost and energy consumption. So by doing this energy performance improvement, we are optimizing the energy cost. What is not required, we are eliminating, so that the bottom line of the company is improving, so that we can give a better market rate to the customer for our products and services. So that is important. Enables to cut down cost and improve profit. Suppose your margin is improving, naturally it is going towards profitability of the company. So it is a double benefit you are getting by implementing the energy performance systems. Then the main thing is reducing carbon footprint. We are saving the carbon dioxide which is going into the environment and causing global warming. Because our India, you can see that coal-fired power stations are the biggest contributors to our energy demand. So that much of carbon footprint they are creating. If you are using less of it, so we are contributing positively to those much carbon dioxide emissions from our side. Okay, and then corporate social responsibility as a sustainable development. As a company, our aim is not only to make money, we also look at what we can do for the society. So that is what we call corporate social responsibility. By doing these energy efficiency initiatives, also educating the people around your organization, the community about the energy savings, you are doing your little bit towards the global warming, reducing it. Okay, and branding. It is a good image for the company. Marketing campaigns you can have where you can talk about energy efficiency. So naturally, your products and services are also is going to be more in demand because you are having this kind of attitude towards energy savings. Okay, these are all some of the benefits of ISO 50001 certification. Okay, with this I conclude my webinar. Now I am open to questions. Audience can give their questions.
I have got few questions in the chat box, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'll be asking them one by one, and I would
Yes.
request the participants to please listen to the answers carefully, or if they want to write it down, they can write it down as well. So the first question which I have received is, sir, is any management representative appointed in an organization which is mandatory for implementation of ENMS, energy management system?
See, all management systems with the recent revisions, the management representative, the title is basically not mentioned anywhere. It is basically understood. That's why ISO is not specifying anything on that in that regard. But with regard to energy management system, specifically they have mentioned that energy manager has to be appointed, kind of our energy management team has to be there in the organization. So naturally, the team will be led by energy manager. And if you are a designated consumer, it is also a legal requirement to have a energy manager appointed. So he can doubly perform as a management representative also because he is knowledgeable in the field. He'll be able to better focus on this, and then implementation will be effective. So with that regard, energy manager can develop as a management representative, but as a management representative, there is no requirement in the system. It is only energy management team which is important as per the standard.
Thank you so much, sir. The second question which I have received is, if an organization has already is already environment management certified, ISO 14000 certified, 14001 certified,
Yes.
so do they need the energy management system as well?
See, 14001 talks about environmental performance. That's very global outlook there. It is a part of it or a subset of the environmental management system is energy management system. Here we are only focusing on energy efficiency, energy use, and energy consumption. But the byproduct of it will be a savings on the carbon footprint and also the greenhouse gases which we can reduce. So that will have a indirect benefit to environmental management system. But otherwise, here the focus is mainly sustainable development, where in environmental management system, we are looking at the overall environmental conservation and environmental protection, prevention of pollution. But energy management system focuses on sustainable development. Here, the focus is energy efficiency and energy performance improvement. So slightly it is different, but it is a subset of environmental management system.
Thank you so much, sir. The last question which we have received is, can use of renewable energy be considered as an improvement in energy management system?
Per se, in the energy use may be considered, but energy efficiency, we cannot consider renewable energy as one of the factors, because we have just changed the energy use from your coal-fired power station to renewable energy. But still, energy efficiency is also important, where we look at how our input is energy, how much output we have made. So we would not take completely the greenhouse gas emissions, whatever we are saving, as an energy management initiative. It is mainly the energy efficiency which we need to talk about. The benefit is environmental performance is improving, but it will not contribute towards energy management system improvement. Energy efficiency is what we have to look at.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
I would request the participants if they has any more questions on today's session, so they can drop the questions in the chat box. Okay, so I have received the confirmation that there are no more questions. So we can now come to the conclusion of this particular session. First of all, I would like to extend my huge thanks to Mr. Sitaraman for uh, coming again and being a part of this particular webinar and sharing your knowledge and expertise on today's topic. Energy management system is a very widely used standard in many of the organizations and is a very broad topic as well, considering the current circumstances which are going worldwide, and countries are focused over the challenges of global warming. This is a topic which is in which everyone should be deeply interested. So I extend my thanks to you for giving us the knowledge on the implementation of ISO 15001 standard in organizations. The information, as usual, was very informative, and you very well explained all the topics and concepts of this particular uh, concept. I would like to see you again, sir. We all would like to see you again with us again with a, with a different topic and a very exciting session. I thank all the participants as well for putting across the questions and being an active part of this particular webinar. I extend my thanks to you as well. I wish you all a best of luck for all of your future endeavors on behalf of TNV Academy.
Thank
Good
you
to
very
see you
much.
again, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to TNV for giving me an opportunity again. We'll see you again in another webinar later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I request all the participants to please leave the meeting now.